welcome on in to Drummer Mamas. We're so happy you're here, and Gemma's gonna kick it off.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Can you tell us how you got into drums?
Wow. So that was back when I was like 5 years old. I was at church and I saw my cousin playing drums, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So it was like basically immediately after seeing him, one of my first memories is like, that's what I'm gonna do. And so it was like from that day on, I would just like play on everything. Buckets, pens, in school, everything. Any type of music programs they offered in school, I was trying to do it. And so that's kind of how I got my start.
So, career aspiration wise,
Mhm.
was it a case of this is what I'm doing, drumming from age 5? Or was there a point later on where you thought, actually, this could be my career? Or was it always a knowing?
That's a good question. So for me, it was I love doing this, right? Initially, it's just like you're 5, you're like, I really like doing this. And then the clicking turning point was when I was in middle school. So I was like in 6th or 7th grade. And so I was probably like 12 or 13. And I was like, I had this moment where I was playing basketball and I was devoting a lot of time to that. And I was devoting a lot of time to drums and music. And it was kind of like I had to decide. And no one told me I had to, but I was like, it was really hard to divide my focus. And I kind of made the decision I'm going to really pursue music. I'm going to pursue drumming. And so I stopped playing basketball and just focused on like marching band aspects, reading music. I would spend hours in my parents' basement just practicing and reading.
Can you take us through kind of how that then developed and what seasons you've gone through so far with playing and with having a family?
So I guess so after like I made the decision like I'm gonna pursue this, and then it was like I probably need to get lessons. So when I was in high school, I started taking lessons with this guy, Miles Overton. He was actually in the Army's band, so he played for I think maybe 2 or 3 sitting presidents, and like he worked in DC, and so he was my instructor for about 3+ years of high school. And so he really helped me fine tune my playing. He would give me sight reading. He would like, kind of explain to me how endorsement worked, like endorsements, music, how other drummers could be intimidated by a female drummer, like just all aspects of like, what it would be like as having it as a career, because he knew I was really into it. Oh, here's Julian. Say hi. Hi. Yeah, so that was kind of the start and the turning point as far as that. But so after high school, I auditioned. I was accepted into the Navy music program, and so he really helped me out a lot with that. So
Okay.
Amazing. Hi, Julian.
Yeah. Hi,
say hi.
Julian. Julian, how old are you?
6.
Yeah, sit down so we can see you.
Ah,
Wow.
oh, that's getting
6 years
old, you
old.
know. My daughter's turning 6 on Monday.
Wow. Oh, so
Yeah.
they're close.
Yeah.
And you have two
I
two
have
or three?
two.
Two.
So does
Okay.
Gemma.
Okay,
All
okay.
same ages.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's have a play date. We're gonna have to fly to each other.
Virtual play date. It'll be fine.
Virtual.
If you imagine the jet lag, the children would just be like,
Hmm. When did you know you wanted to be a mum?
So that's a good question too.
That's a question too.
Yeah, that's a good question. So my husband is a pilot.
Yeah. My dad's a pilot.
Uh-huh. He's a pilot in the Navy. He was originally a saxophone player in the Navy band, so that's how we met. We met in Japan, and we were both serving in the military as musicians. And we got married in 2014, October.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And then I was going to school. So like I got out of the military, and then I was like, I want to go to college. I want to get my degree in digital media and web technology, because I know the importance of like the social media and digital media aspect of music. So I got my degree in that, and he was in flight school because he made the change from being a saxophone player in the Navy band to being a pilot.
Yeah.
And so we were both like doing school for like 4 years. And then after we were done with school, he was done, and we're like, hey, I guess this is a good time to like have a kid, right? Like, and then I was like, well, I kind of want to go on like a cruise. I want to be like a cruise ship drummer. And so it was kind of weird, but he was like, hey, if we're gonna do it, we got to do it. And I was like, all right, you're right. So it was interesting though because I finished school and we're planning to have Julian, and then I get an invite to go on a world tour. Like
Yeah, and yeah,
I was like 6 months pregnant.
yeah, and mom homeschools me.
I homeschool him, yeah. But I got this invite to go on a world tour, and I'm 6 months pregnant with him. And they're like, hey, we want to fly you out to Miami. I'm living in Jacksonville, Florida at the time. They're putting together this whole girl group to go on this world tour for the year of 2019, the year he's born. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I can do the tour. Yeah, I could do this tour. I'm just like, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just like gonna, you know.
So
So I go to Miami. They fly me out. I do the rehearsals, and they're like coming out with the schedule for the following year for 2019 tour schedule. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to request like the month of March off maybe, because like I'm about to be a first time mom. I don't really know, you know, like how's your body gonna feel? Like what's the recovery gonna be like? I have no idea, but I'm like I feel like I can do this, and so I'm like, I just sent him an email. I'm like, hey, I just noticed that there's some dates in March. I think I'm gonna need to like, I might have to miss some of those because I'm gonna be having a baby. And they were like, what? You're having a baby? Like, you didn't tell us? Like, why didn't you say something? And I was just like, I thought you were gonna fire me. So they were like, well, I mean, I kind of put them in a weird position, right? Because I didn't say anything. But so basically they were like, well, we kind of want to move forward with you, but I think the artist was signed with Warner Brothers, like music. And so they were like, it's going to be hard to promote you. And it's just the liabilities of traveling. And because we had some gigs in France around my due date, like we were not even going to be in the States. And so they basically decided that they wanted
I
to,
think so.
yeah, they wanted to cut me. And so they found Juliana. They brought in this drummer named Juliana. She's actually a drummer that was touring with Carol G. So like super, super talented. And they brought her in, and she did like the first few months of the year. And then they came back and they were like, and he had been born by that point. It's like it was like May. And they were like, hey, I know you just had a baby, but like, do you want to go to Spain? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah. And I was like, so I was like, like what happened with the other drummer? And they were like, well, everything's cool, but we really put this band together around you. Like we want you to play the show. And if you're up to it, like we want you to finish out the tour. And I was like, oh wow. So it like put me in this position. Like I have a newborn, he's 2 months old. How do I go about doing this? And so it was like really relying on my mom, his great grandmother, and so it was relying on family because I didn't want to just put him in a like nursery or a daycare when he's so little. And my husband is a pilot, so it was crazy. He had to go on a deployment. He went on a 6-month deployment while I was on tour. And so I would be going for like they really did a good job because I will only be gone for max like 5 or 6 days. And they would have me like we were in Israel, they would have me in Israel and back to the US like so quick. And so I was really motivated and passionate about making sure he only had breast milk. So I was in the desert pumping. I was in Canada pump like everywhere. I just had my cooler of milk and taking it on planes and just like so it was a crazy, crazy experience. And I look back and I'm like, that is crazy. But I'm like, it worked out. It worked out. So
That's amazing. I mean, what did you envision for your career once you became a mum? Was it that? Or did things change for you mindset wise?
I I said to myself, like, I'm going to still be able to do everything. That's one thing that I didn't. And so when I got cut from the tour, I was like, I had it in my heart, like, they're going to come back. They're going to ask me, or something else is going to happen. Cause like, I didn't want to be like, oh, now I'm becoming a mom. Now everything has to stop. Now I can't do anything. Now I can't pursue music. Like, he is very well apart. Half the time I'm recording, he's right there playing in the background. Even people can hear him, you know. So he's very much so a part of it. Just like when I was pregnant and playing, like he's still there. And so I just wanted to make sure that I continued to write my goals like thinking of him, but also not limiting myself and saying I can't do it because of him or my husband. So yeah.
Can I ask you about practice? So, firstly, what that looked like before you became a mum, and secondly, how on earth do you fit practice in now when you're homeschooling Julian and doing everything else? Tell us what that looks like for you.
It's pretty creative, I will say that, because it has to be where I don't really have a schedule for practicing. I kind of just practice whenever like I have kind of a moment. So he could be working on a school thing, and now we've been doing homeschool for over 6 months, and so he can kind of he has an assignment. I can kind of like monitor, but I don't have to stand over him as much anymore. So like I'll be close by, but I might be able to sneak off and practice, or I might have my sticks and be able to practice rudiments. And I'm always working on something. Like right now, I'm diving into the Steve Gadimant's book, and always like working on ostinatos and my left foot and claves and stuff like that. So, and I will say, I do a lot of practicing and mental preparation early in the morning when he's sleeping. So that's kind of how I come up with my ideas. And sometimes I can edit a video, practice all before he wakes up. And so that that has been very helpful. And that was actually even when he was born. After I finished the tour and the year the shutdown happened, that's how I recorded my album. I recorded my album, most of which was like between 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning. That's when I was like working and recording. And it wasn't like full blown playing drums. I might be on the like making beats on a piano. So all you hear is like, you know, so you just kind of got to get creative with it. But yeah, I feel obviously I can't sit for just 5, 6 plus hours like I was when I was, you know, in high school or single, and I could just really, but now I just have to be a little more strategic, but I'm definitely still practicing.
Can you
When do
talk
you
us?
sleep?
Yeah.
Sorry to
When do I
interrupt, but
sleep?
yeah,
That's a good question too, because I sleep probably like 3 hours.
Oh,
really?
no, no, no.
Was that always like that, or have you just really adjusted that to?
Yeah, it doesn't, so it's not consistently. Like right now I'm kind of in a season where I'm like I have all these ideas, and so I might sleep for a few hours, wake up and do something, and then go back to sleep, and then I might have to take a nap during the day. So I'm getting my sleep in, but it may not just be like 8 hours all at once. So yeah, and I don't really force it either. Like I will sometimes just wake up like ready to go with like all these thoughts, like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and like all these ideas, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, okay, if because my son sleeps in probably like 9 or 10. So if I can get back to sleep by like 6, I can get the extra few hours in there, you know? So it works out.
I was thinking you must have to nap. Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
So, can you talk me through what a typical day looks like for you from waking up at crazy o'clock?
Yeah. Well, I'll walk you through the last like 24 hours. So like okay, so yesterday Julian woke up probably around like 9:30, 10 o'clock. So for me, I was already up at like 3 o'clock, 2 or 3 o'clock. I had woken up already. I actually recorded the video that I edited and put out. Like uh I I already had recorded. So all I had to do was edit. So I didn't even have to play. And so that's when I was able to do my editing when he was sleeping, and I can really focus in, and because that's probably even harder to do than actually just sitting and playing. Because like if I'm playing, he can come over and talk to me. But like if I'm editing, I need to be a little more focused. So editing between like three to 5 o'clock, go back to sleep, and then he'll probably come in my room around like later. So I'm probably sleeping for like in the 4 or 5 hours. He'll wake up at like 9:30. And so that helps me get the full 8 hours. And then we have to start homeschool. And so while he's watching one of his lessons, I'll be making him some breakfast, waffles or eggs, egg whites, fruit, bananas. And so he has the comfort and the flexibility in his schedule as well, because he can do a couple lessons and then say, I want to go outside and play. And so we have a nice little backyard that I kind of set up for him where I actually film quite a bit of my videos too, especially since it's getting warm. He can go play. I can also practice a little bit. And so he could be doing something and like, kind of taking his break while I'm also doing something. And then I'll be like, okay, let's come back. Let's do a couple more lessons. We'll do a couple more lessons. And so that'll go on till probably like sometimes school can take him till like 3 or 4 o'clock if he wants to take a bunch of breaks. So it just depends. Sometimes we can knock it out in 2 or 3 hours if he's just motivated and he can sit and just do it. And so there, I try to have little incentives for him, but yeah. So my husband is already gone prior to all of that stuff happening, and he'll come home probably around like 3 or 4, and then we'll have dinner probably around like 5 or 6, which sometimes will give me the opportunity to run upstairs and record in here if I need to, and then they might go outside and play with his dad, and then we like reconvene in the evening and maybe sit down and watch some documentaries or on pandas or something like that. And then getting him ready for bed, which he stays up late. He stays up till like 10 or 11 because he's sleeping in. He's gonna be staying up late. So, but once he gets to bed, then I can kind of, do a little work if I need to. Usually I'm so tired, I just crash. I crash super early. Sometimes I can't even make it till like his bedtime because I'm like so tired. And I'm like, Brandon, son, I'm going to bed. You got to get Julian in bed. So, but yeah, between the two of us, it works out. Like sometimes he'll come home from work and he's just super tired, and I have to like just muscle through and do everything. So we kind of just help each other out. And Saturdays and Sundays are pretty good because he's usually home and we can just do the family thing, go to the beach. We live in Virginia Beach, so yeah, that's kind of it is very. Some might say it's kind of chaotic because there's no real like set. Nothing is really set. It's just like this is what you need to do for the day, especially for Julian, like his school, and then it's like I can kind of get my stuff done in between that.
It sounds like it works for you really well. So, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you how you feel? So, as an influencer, do you feel fulfilled as a musician alongside that?
That's a good question. I actually often think about that, especially a lot of the things that come my way, the opportunities that come my way are for with different brands or collaborations, and so I kind of do, even though it may not be as much so performing or traveling or touring. It's still a way to share music and to, lessons or whatever material I'm trying to put out there. So I would say, yes, I actually do still feel fulfilled in music as an influencer. So
You have an incredible following. And so I wanted to know, like, do you get any trolls or negativity? And if so, how do you deal with that?
for the most part, people are pretty nice. I will say before I got a lot of my endorsements and stuff like that, like kind of in the beginning where I didn't really have any gear, people were like clowning me about my cymbals. They're like, dude, you don't even have cymbals. Like, what are you doing? You need to go get some new cymbals and blah, blah, blah. Like, basically commenting on my gear and stuff like that because I had finished the military. Like, I think I had to go buy a kit or to do gigs and stuff. And I think I just, you just piece stuff together. Like, if you're just trying to make it work. And so that I would say that was some of the stuff. But for the majority, everyone's pretty chill, and pretty nice. No trolls.
Good. Good. I'm glad
Yeah.
to hear it.
Can you tell us about your album? Tell us a bit more about.
Oh, yeah. So the year the shutdown happened, um, well, I didn't know it was going to be a shutdown like I guess everyone else. So it's like, right, we enter into 2020. I had finished the tour in December of 2019. And then things are kind of getting a little bit wonky, right? Like all the news that's kind of coming out and stuff like that. And so the inspiration for the album actually, which is I guess a big part of where I am today, was that I was dealing with chronic pain. I was having like severe pain in my jaw. It's even while I was on tour, and so I was trying to see a chiropractor, just trying to figure out like, am I grinding my teeth? So seeking the advice of a lot of medical professionals and stuff like that, and trying to figure out like, hey, like what's going on. And so I remember while I was pregnant, my midwife was like, Julian's not in the right position. Maybe you need to see a chiropractor. And so I never actually went because he eventually got in the right position. But that was one of the thoughts that I had while I was dealing with this pain. And I was having like all of this severe pain in my jaw and stuff. I'm like, oh, you know what? My midwife did mention that. Like maybe I should, try that. And so I went to a chiropractor after I got back from a tour, I think in Mexico. And I was staying with my parents in Woodbridge, Virginia, because they were helping me take care of Julian while I was going back and forth, and my husband was deployed. And so I went to the chiropractor, and he's like, looks at it, feels around. He's like, oh, yeah, your C1 and your C5 vertebrae are out of alignment. And that's why you're having all of this pain. He like touched it, and it triggered the pain like here and all of, and I was like, okay, like how do we fix this? Like how do we, well, he's like, it's probably taking you years to get it out of alignment. And so like, yeah, it's gonna take some time. He's like, within a month, maybe, like come to me for a month and we'll adjust and get it back in alignment. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm going to him, and I'm dealing with the pain, and it's just getting worse and worse. So like I would be in a dead sleep, like sleeping, and wake up in severe pain. And I'm like, it's just progressively getting worse as I'm, just trying to deal with this. And I go to him for the entire month, and he's like, all right, your spine is back in alignment. Like, you're good. And I'm like, so I shouldn't have any more pain, right? He's like, well, like most people deal with pain, like some sort of pain, like just their entire life. And I'm like I cannot deal with this. Like this is not like sustainable. Like it was really, really, really bad. And so it got to the point where I was just kind of like just praying and asking God, like, please, God, heal me, please, like take this pain away. I was like so hungry to be like not in the position and not in the pain that I was. And I would do this like when I would be woken up, I would pray and ask God to like, take this pain away. And it was one night when it occurred to me, like as I was up and I was like, my head was down, and I'm just getting this like, it would be like a spasm, and it would just be like this really intense pain until it just would like kind of go away. And I remember praying, and I was like, God, please, please. And it occurred to me, it was like, wait, I'm already healed. Like, isn't it the God that Jesus that healed the woman with the issue of blood, and all of these stories that I had heard about in church when I was a kid? They were just like, wait, I'm already healed. And I like stood up, and I like felt this huge weight just lifted off my shoulders. And I was like, whoa, yep, like I am healed. I'm like, I'm healed. I'm healed. And I'm like, and it was from that day forward, I have never experienced that pain again. And so I was like, okay, now what do I do? I have to write, I have to produce an album. I have to share this in some form or way. And that is the inspiration for the album, is because I was healed of a severe chronic pain that was just like, yeah, just kind of taking me out. And so from that experience going into 2020, I had never written a song. I had never produced music, but I said, I'm going to make an album. And I was like, I don't actually know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I like, from from me just sharing that and just kind of putting it out there. I would be on Facebook like, hey guys, I'm gonna make an album. They're like, oh cool. I didn't know you sang. And I'm like, I don't. And it's just like, I'm gonna figure it out. And so it's cool because my friend, Sarah, who I worked with her in the Navy. And she came to me, well, she like messaged me. She's like, hey, if you need some help with this, like, let me know. Like, cause she's a singer. And I was like, I didn't pay any mind at first, but I was like, she came back in, she was like, yeah, let me know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, well, these are the lyrics, like, cause I was writing. I had started writing and I was producing. And I was like, well, these are the lyrics I kind of wrote down and I tried to like sing it out the best that I could. And I sent it to her. And then she sent it back to me. And I was like, dude, like, we're going to be able to make an album. Like, it was like, I was like, this actually sounds good. And so that was basically how that year went. That's how we produced the album of 2020. And then I titled it I Choose Love because like really at the core of all of this pain, like on this journey I realized it was linked to unforgiveness. Like I was holding a lot of I don't know, disappointment, hurt, or whatever, some of which was like the initial response from the people who didn't want to, have me on tour because I was pregnant. Like all of these things like that we carry as people will affect our health. And so I didn't really realize that, but when I got down to the core of it, I was like, this is all about forgiveness. This is all about like peace, love, and choosing on a daily basis to forgive. And so that was kind of my epiphany. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to put this in the form of music. And because like, that's my outlet and a creative way to do it. So that's the long version of the why the album even exists.
Did that realization happen in the moment that you were healed, or was it something that came later?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it came later. It was like when you like I was waking up and I'm not in pain anymore. You just have like this whole sense of gratitude and you're like how do I share this with people? Like how do I get this out there that I experienced this miracle essentially? And I'm like it just kind of I don't know, it just kind of like I want to share this through music. And then it was initially like I should just do an instrumental, but then I was like, I have so much to say. Like I can't just do an instrumental type of thing. So it was definitely harder to go that route and write lyrics and stuff like that. But I was just like, I have to do it. And so that year, 2020, while everyone was like shut down, that's what I was working on. I would just be in my house, just like so excited, so pumped because like you have like all of these ideas and you just want to like, and so it was a very unique experience. But while I was working on my album, like I was making videos. So I had bought a very small Tama kit. I think it was like maybe $200 because I was talking to Robert Smuts from Ghost Note, right? And so while I was on tour, he was like, I work with Tama, I work with all these companies. Like, do you need any help? And I'm like, yeah, I would love to be a part of I would love to work with these companies. And then he's like, all right, send me a video of you playing a Tama kit. Send me videos using their gear. And I'm like, oh, like I don't have any videos. I don't even have a Tama kit. So like I went and bought a Tama kit. I went and just started doing like really focusing in and being intentional with the things that I was creating. And so during 2020, I got signed with Tama. They saw one of my reviews I did on YouTube and they came back to me through my rep at Minor Percussion. They were like, it seems like you really love Tama. Like, are you interested in becoming an artist? And I was like, yes. Like, and so that was like literally what I was like doing. Like, I had this little Tama kit. I packed up all my other kits. I was like, I'm only playing Tama. This was before I ever got signed. And every day I would walk past that Tama kit. I'd be like, I'm so happy and thankful and grateful that I'm a Tama artist. Even though like they didn't know who I was. Like, I don't know if they even knew I was interested. But I remember I made a YouTube video and I was just like, I'm just waiting for Tama to hit me up. Like, I'm just waiting for them to call me. Because prior to that, I was calling them like every day. Like, and I wasn't getting through to anyone. I was sending emails because like no one really knows how this endorsement process works, right? It's different for every company. And which I've learned over the course of the last like few years because every experience has been different. And so I was like, maybe I just got to reach out to them. Like I'm producing the stuff on social media. Like maybe they need sometimes they need an electronic press kit. Sometimes they want to have certain numbers. It's just so many different things. So I was just like super motivated, calling them every day. No one's answering. Half the time the emails are coming back like this sender is not receiving or whatever. It's just like, and I just got to the point. Was like, I'm gonna stay grateful. I'm going to stay thankful, and I'm just going to keep, producing the stuff and letting them know through these videos, which I didn't know. They actually, they probably do look at what people are saying about their product. And so that's one way to really put yourself in front of the companies that you like is by, like basically pretending like you're endorsed already. And when they did like finally when I finally got endorsed, people were like, I thought you were already endorsed. Like I thought you were already on because I was just so hard. Like who would be that hardcore if you're not even repping the company? It's just like me. I'm that hardcore. I want to be on the team. So
I love
I
it.
love that. That's yeah.
I
I was
remember
just
that
gonna
from
say
you. Sorry.
no.
When I spoke to you, it was during lockdown, I think. And
oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
maybe you just got endorsed. I can't remember the order, but I remember coming away going, oh, I love it. Just so fired up. And just the commitment. You just went all in. You're like, no, this is what I want. This is going to happen. And
Right.
I love to see it. I think it's just, come on, guys. That's how you should be. Like, I think some people, youngsters, not to sound like an old lady, but some people, I've certainly had messages saying, well, how did you get that endorsement? And da 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 da. And it's all it can be centered on that person. But when you switch perspective and you think, well, how can I serve this company that I really believe in? Then your content and your videos change. So it's promoting them naturally because you're excited about the stuff. So it's
Right.
like a collaboration and it's not just a pick me situation. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and that's
Companies
what I
also.
had to that's kind of what I had to realize too, because it was like, and a lot of people come to me now, especially since I have like several endorsements and stuff, and they'll ask me about the process, and I'll share with them. And I'm like, you're endorsed, like you have to present yourself like that right now. But then you have the guys who are just so negative about the people who are endorsed, like why'd they get an endorsement? What they don't deserve it. They don't sound as good as me, and so you have this whole mentality, right? Like, while it may be true in your world, you're the best, but this person was, picked up or whatever for whatever reason, and they're great too. Like, a company doesn't just want one type of drummer or one type of musician. They're also thinking about the diversification of like stylistic and music. And so, like, that's one thing I try to tell people too. It's just like, be true to who you are, but be happy for people that get these endorsements. Like, because you are also, just imagine that was you. You just got it. Because if you could be happy for someone else, you were in essentially being happy for yourself. If you're going to be down on someone else, you're being down on yourself. It's just a reflection of how you feel about your own self.
I was just going to add to that about how companies definitely feel your vibe about something. And
Oh, yeah.
like you said, if you're someone who's very negative about it, then,
Mhm.
that's also not what they want. So,
Yeah.
can I ask you, like that topic where you were talking about the label and you being taken off the tour, that feeling is something that definitely worried Kira and I as drummers when we knew that we were going to have babies. What
Right.
would you say to them about that and how to deal with it, or kind of prepare yourself for it if there is such a thing?
I I mean, it's not a good feeling, but I kind of had to almost like talk myself up, be like, this is obviously I want to have a family. I want to have a son, and I want to be a musician. And so it was like people will come to you and say, because you're a mom, you don't do these things anymore. You're done with that. Right. And so it's just like, if you believe that, then that's what you're going to accept and that's what it will become for you. And so it's just like, I want you, I want to have this, I want to have a family. So you keep that and you're like, I want to be a musician, I want to be a drummer. Then you got to keep that too. Because a lot of people would be like, it doesn't make sense. How are you going to do this? Like, and logistically, like really doesn't make sense. You know, like I went on a tour with a 2 month old. Like that's kind of crazy. But like I said, like having family and having the support of family for me, that was what I needed, and to be able to do that. And so I would say if you're feeling like you want to have a family, but you're a serious musician, I would say go for it. Like don't limit yourself to I can only do this and I can't have a family because I am this. I would say don't do it. I would say go for it. And then seeing people like Beyonce, like that's who came to mind. I was like, Beyonce had a baby and she was still doing music. Like what's going on? Like you know what I mean? Like and so that was kind of, and I was like looking at pictures of this woman. I don't remember her name, but she was an athlete. She was an Olympic runner, and she's running. She's pregnant and she's running. And so, like when they said no to me, those are the thoughts that came to mind. It wasn't like no, it's true or it's right. It was like no, people are doing this, and so that's another thing, and that's another reason why I go so hard because I kind of do want to be like, hey, yeah, I'm a mom, but I'm still actively doing music. I'm still, doing these things. Like I could be on tour if I wanted, but I've turned down several tours. I'm like, I don't want to do it, especially like now that Julian's getting older, like, and he's more aware. Like I don't necessarily want to be gone, so it's like you pick and choose. But yeah, if I do have this vision of maybe doing tours in the summer when he doesn't have school and traveling, stuff like that where he can be a part of it. And so like I think it's important to almost have your vision and then don't let anyone tell you that it's not possible because that's the first thing people will come and do. Like it sounds cool, but yeah, I don't think that's going to work. And it's just like, hey, put it out there. If you can believe it, if you can have the faith that it is possible, then it can actually come true. So
Yes. I'm really glad we're speaking to you. This is the chat I needed. Oh, well, I wanted to just end on asking you if there's anything you're looking forward to this year that you can talk about, or yeah, what's the rest of the year looking like for you?
Well, I have my book of, my visions, thoughts. Right now my focus is a lot on YouTube. Uh kind of coming up with my rudimental presentation for like lessons because I watch a lot of the lessons that are out there, and sometimes I feel like people miss it or they miss the angles, and so like that beginners really need, and so I'm kind of moving into like this teaching aspect, and then I also watch what videos and the questions that people ask me and what is doing the best, and it's usually the instructional content that is usually doing the best, and so of course I love to just come in and play and shed and practice and record and stuff like that. But I also think about like the people, the kids that want to get to that level, but they're struggling because I was one that was struggling a lot too prior to starting to take lessons. Like I was like hungry, I was practicing, but a lot of stuff I was practicing wrong. Like I practiced traditional grip incorrectly and I had to relearn it. I practiced like a lot of rudiments incorrectly. By the time I got to my teacher, he was like, "You're playing all this stuff left hand lead. Why are you doing this? Like this is not the proper way." And so having to relearn stuff and the struggle probably was like for a good 2 to 3 years of like, having to go back and like fine tune stuff. And so being able to like put content out there and to help people not struggle in the way that I struggled when I was getting really serious about music, that's part of my goal. So working on that YouTube, my goal is to get to 100K. So I'm like watching I think I'm at like getting close to 50, like 47, something like that. So that's my goal. Hit YouTube hard. Instructional content. I want to be able to like actually have a physical, uh, not necessarily a book, but an online course. And so that's kind of something that I'm brainstorming. Also writing. So I write little songs for my son that helps him with some of his school stuff. So doing that, but then also just like I have this idea to do this like thing where I'm like where I'm like I'm rapping and doing like scripture, so like Bible verses, hitting that stuff hard, and so like working on that. And then I also have this idea to produce another album. So there's a lot of little stuff in there, but kind of at the forefront is like the teaching aspect and the YouTube. And then I also teach at Guitar Center here in the States. So I'm there two times a week. So physically teaching, and then so seeing how the online stuff and then the face-to-face stuff and what kids really need. Adults, like my oldest student is like 70. My youngest is like, how old is she's like five or six. So
Great.
Sounds busy. It's good.
yeah. Yeah, it's good. Somehow it's all working out. It's all that, just gotta keep the faith, keep believing. Like, hey, we wake up, we're happy, we're grateful. Let's do our laps around the house. Let's get the day going.
Oh, cool. Well, we won't take up any more of your time. Thank you for joining us and for your
Thank
lovely
you.
positivity.
No
I just
worries.
stopped recording.
Thanks for having me.